Love at first sight. Or so I thought. Complete story. Isabella never thought that moving to a new city would be so difficult. She had left behind her job in her hometown, her small apartment, and the comfort of the familiar. The excitement of starting a new stage in her life quickly faded when she realized that loneliness was her only companion. On her first day at the office, Isabella felt like a fish out of water. Everyone seemed to know each other, but she only had her welcome folder and a cup of coffee in her hands, which had already gone cold. It was at that moment that she saw him. Lucas was in the break room, wearing a wrinkled t-shirt that read, "I'm not lazy, I'm just saving energy," and a smile so dazzling it seemed straight out of a movie. Although he wasn't the type of man she was normally attracted to, something about him made her want to approach him. "Are you new here?" Lucas asked, with a curious and somewhat mischievous look. Isabella, nervous, nodded. "Yes, I'm Isabella. I started yesterday, and it all seems so different." "Different?" Lucas chuckled. "This place is a chaos. Why not enjoy it? Life is much more fun when you don't know what to expect." Isabella smiled, relieved to find someone so relaxed amidst her internal turmoil. The following days were filled with small but significant interactions. Lucas and she would cross paths in the office, and he always seemed to be in some kind of hurry or trouble. He was never on time for meetings, and his desk was a complete mess, with papers scattered, empty coffee cups, and tangled cables everywhere. But despite his apparent chaos, Lucas had an energy that attracted everyone. Isabella couldn't help but feel drawn to his authentic, carefree, yet charming way of being. One afternoon, after a stressful meeting, Isabella decided to go for a walk in the nearby park to clear her mind. As she walked, she saw a familiar figure in the distance. It was Lucas, sitting on a bench, his head in his hands and a worried expression on his face. "Lucas?" she said, approaching him. He looked up and smiled. "Wow, I didn't expect to see you here. Do you want to join me?" he said, getting up to make space on the bench. Isabella sat down next to him, but soon noticed something strange. His phone was covered in greasy fingerprints, as if he had been eating fries with his hands while checking emails. "Really?" she said, laughing. "Your whole phone is sticky?" Lucas shrugged with a mischievous smile. "It's part of the charm. How about we talk about you? I've noticed you're different." Isabella was silent for a moment. Lucas seemed to be the type of person who always knew how to distract others from their problems, but she was sure he had his own. "Different in what way? What do you mean?" she asked, more intrigued than worried. "It's just that you're so controlled. Sometimes it's fun to let things go, you know? Live a little on the edge." Isabella laughed, feeling a small flutter in her stomach. She couldn't deny that there was something about Lucas that disarmed her. As the days passed, they began to spend more time together. At first, everything seemed light, as if the relationship were just a friendship. But deep down, Isabella knew there was something more. However, she wasn't sure what she really felt for him. Sometimes, Lucas made her feel alive and spontaneous. Other times, his disorganized behavior exasperated her. One day, after a long day at work, Lucas asked her to join him for a rooftop party at a bar. Isabella hesitated, as she wasn't usually one for parties, but something inside her urged her to say yes. The party was noisy, full of laughter and music, but Isabella couldn't stop looking at Lucas, who seemed to be in his element. He danced with everyone, joked with strangers, and seemed completely oblivious to the stress he had been experiencing at the office. Suddenly, he approached her, taking her hand. "Let's do something more fun," he said with a wide smile. "Let yourself go for one night." Isabella looked at him, feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement. Isabella, for the first time in a long time, let everything else fade away. It was a perfect kiss, and at that moment, everything seemed to fall into place. However, things weren't so simple after that. The next day, the office was full of whispers. Rumors about her and Lucas began to spread like wildfire, and although at first she tried to ignore them, Isabella couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. A couple of weeks later, Lucas stopped showing up at important meetings. He seemed distracted, as if something was deeply affecting him. One afternoon, she finally confronted him. "Lucas, what's going on? I've noticed you're not being yourself anymore." He looked at her with a serious expression. Isabella, there's something I haven't told you. My life isn't as easy as it seems. I'm not who I appear to be. Lucas confessed that he had been having problems with the company, that his relaxed attitude was a way of avoiding facing reality. And although he had always had a great connection with Isabella, he couldn't allow his personal life to interfere with his work. Isabella felt hurt, but she understood. However, she made it clear that he couldn't continue hiding behind a facade. If you're going to do this, do it head on. You can't be with me and keep running away from yourself. In the end, Lucas decided to face his problems. And although it wasn't easy, he found the courage to change. They both learned that relationships are not based solely on chemistry or fun moments, but also on honesty and vulnerability. Isabella discovered that sometimes love wasn't perfect, but it was worth the risk. End.